just keep moving. What are you doing, Mr. Man? Sit down, hold on tight, get ready, cause we're sailing. Big ship sailing on the ocean. We don't need no commotion. Big ship sailing on the ocean. Get ready, cause we're moving. Big ship sailing on the ocean. Whoa, 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 yeah. Big ship sailing on the ocean. Oh, yeah. Say when I'm ready, you must hold on steady. We're moving off at lightning speed, yeah. Take a seat and just wait till I'm ready. I'm coming, I'm coming. Hold on steady, cause big ship sailing on the ocean. We don't need no commotion. Big ship sailing on the ocean. We got to come over. Big ship sailing on the ocean. Whoa, 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 whoa. Say we're sailing on the ocean. Yeah. Say
My skin is black. Our forefathers were the fields in burning sun. They sweat and they strain. But we won't sweat the same. We won't do it again. 'Cause now that we realize that for so long we've been hypnotized, we suffer day and night, but still stand upright. Yes, my skin is black, so black. But when you see me come, you're gonna turn your back. You ain't gonna be, no, you'll never be a man like me. Oh no, yes, my skin is black, black, black. So when you see me come, please don't turn your back. You ain't gonna be, no, you'll never be a man like me. If ever they made a slip, they'll be corrected by the wind. Yes, we are proud to say this won't happen again. 'Cause now that it's our turn to take the lead, 'cause we have learned we suffer day and night, but still stand upright. Yes, my skin is black, so black. But when you see me come, you're gonna turn your back. You ain't gonna be, no, you'll never be a man like me. Oh no, yes, my skin is black, black, black. So when you see me come, please don't turn your back. You ain't gonna be, no, you'll never be a man like me. yes, my skin is black. So when you see me come, please don't turn your back. You ain't gonna be, no, you'll never be a man like me. Oh no.
we bless, tell them we bless, tell them we bless.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. My eyes told me that my heart one passing way. I can stop hurrying for each ride to rake up my life. My eyes told me that my heart is in danger. My eyes told me that my heart is in danger. My eyes told me that my heart is in danger. Danger. Ooh,
Ladies and gentlemen, let us honor the national anthem of Jamaica. Namaste. Exhibier Nagast. Malembe. Jah. Rastafari. And now you may turn to the person sitting next to you and greet them in whatever fashion you choose to greet them, even if you haven't met them before. I see people stretching across the chairs, and that's wonderful. Like when you go to church and we greet you in peace. And that is how we honor our grandparents who taught us that as soon as you meet somebody and exchange names, you turn to them and you say, and hope to be no more strangers. There are no strangers at the Institute of Jamaica. And there certainly are no strangers at the annual Grounation. I know some of you waiting for me to put a D in there, and you always put a D in there. Please note that there is no D. Yes, there is no D. It's a grounding, but it's Grounation. My name is Amina Blackwood Meeks, and it is my honor and privilege to be the host for this afternoon's presentation. We're all distinguished ladies and gentlemen here, but please allow me to single out a few persons. Mr. Steve Ture, a trombonist that comes highly recommended by Mr. Herbie Miller sitting over there. Actually, Herbie said he's the #1 trombonist in the world. And that reminded me of Tony Lang, who used to say, I'm going to put somebody in the first 3. I don't know who the first 2 are, but just in case I'm wrong. Steve is accompanied by his wife, Pamela. Good evening and welcome. Jay, forgive me if I haven't learned to pronounce your surname, and you can tell me in the break, but we now recognize you as a producer of ska reggae across Europe. We welcome Mr. Peter Espute. And that beautiful voice you heard rising above the music during the Jamaica National Anthem is his beautiful wife, Mrs. Velia Espute. Another great voice is in the house, Roy Ryan. Great voices who carry the message in other ways across the media, moderating at occasions like these, Miss Elaine Wint and Miss Judith Alberga. We especially want to recognize Professor Stanley Naya of the Center for Reparation Research. Can I just show off and say you did a most brilliant inaugural professorial lecture? And we couldn't do this without sponsors. We recognize the sponsors in the house, from Freight Handlers Limited, Mr. Neville Linfat. And then there are those sponsors who don't have any company, don't have any logo, don't have any banner to put up, but they put up so that these things can happen. Mr. Martel Fennell, I'm talking about you. So good evening, everyone. It's not yet evening. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 14th staging of Grounation. You think it easy to sustain anything for 14 years? Let me know hear your clap. Today, the Jamaica Music Museum proudly presents, I'm going to translate it, Spirit in a Way. But the official title of today's presentation is Working the Spirit, Religions, Rituals, Music, and Dance. Spirit in a Way. Because sometimes when we listen to our music, when we look at our spiritual expressions, when we see dances from Africa, we want to know if them come here and copy it, or if we go there and get it, or if this is what it means when we carry something in our DNA. So Spirit in a Way. Thank you for bringing your friends, your family, and your energies. We're here to celebrate the powerful legacies that have shaped and continue to shape who we are, captured in the theme for this series of 4 2026 Grounation, African to Jamaican, Music and Creolized Black Culture. Only Herbie Miller can dream up these things from year to year. And that's what happens when you give birth to something, when you have a vision for something. You keep asking yourself, how am I going to make it better? And Herbie continues to make it better every year. Spirit in a Way. Spirit in a Dr. Kurt Henry. Whole heap of spirit. Spirit walk with him. See, one of them, I hold him computer and laptop right there. Because when we say spirit in a way and we call upon the spirits, all the chairs you believe are empty. Say Malembe. When we call our ancestors, they come. And they come in their numbers. Dr. Kurt Henry is the director of the African Caribbean Institute of Jamaica, Jamaica Memory Bank. And he will be exploring the connection between Jamaican revival aesthetics and spiritual traditions, examining its influence from West African spirituality and Judeo-Christian traditions and its relationship to African religious memory in the Caribbean. L'Antoinette Steins. L'Antoinette Steins. Leonora Antoinette Steins. Dr. Antoinette Steins, OD, Clapper. What take them so long? I met L'Antoinette maybe a year after you returned to Jamaica. Yes, and I carry this thing from that time. We are reincarnated souls from that time, living on earth, heat, air, and water in a this year time. I'm going to be very gender incorrect and describe you as a master dancer. That's correct, right? It's not gender incorrect. The master dancer and choreographer who has led and developed La Cadco Contemporary Dance Company, a united Caribbean force, for more than 35 years. A round of applause. Here is what is going to happen, and we hope it will happen as smoothly as we're able to say it now. Dr. Kurt Henry will present first, and then he will retake his seat in the reserve section in the front row. Without any interruption from me, the La Cadco drummers will present a drumology, so that we salute those spirits who would have gone before and welcome those who will be coming. Right after that, Dr. Steins will present. Unless she needs me to interrupt, I will not. And so we hope that there will be a spiritual guidance and transition from Dr. Henry to the La Cadco drummers to Dr. Steins, and then I will come back and share with you what's to happen next.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. How are we today? Good spirit in a way, right? I want to say greetings again to everybody, especially a special thanks to Herbie Miller for inviting me here to share with you the little I know about spirituality, and with particular focus on revivalism, right? The theme is a complex one, and in revivalism we say it's very deep. It's a deep one. But my focus this afternoon is to examine the black body. So my title is Working the Spirit, Examining Black Bodies Through Revival Nations in Ritual, Music, Dance, and magic. I wish to say that when I saw that word magic, I had to think about it. Because magic, like pocomania, like possession, is quite problematic based on colonial interpretations of those terms. Next slide. So I will take you on a journey with me through a definition of revivalism and its composition. We'll be talking a bit about the politics of pocomania and the spirit work complex, and of course, understanding these terms, ritual, magic, music, and dance through revival nations, with particular emphasis on the body itself. Now, revivalism is, you will see in the literature that you have read, that revivalism is described as an Afro-Christian religious sect. Some people, for example, Clinton Hutton referred to it as a postmodern religion. And it is one religious practice that emerged in the early 1860s. Of course, my argument is in response to colonialism and slavery. And revivalism stands today as one of those religions that continue to resist not only religious discrimination, but also institutional marginalization. Next slide. Oh, next. This happens when I don't have control over. All right, so this sort of diagram that you're looking at is taken from the work of Edward Seaga. His article on revival cults in Jamaica. And revivalism is said to be broken down in two main parts. What are those parts? 60 and 61, right? Now, Seaga, being a structural anthropologist, says that 60 is the Zion, right, that consists of heavenly spirits such as archangels, angels, and saints, as well as earthbound spirits, and those would be biblical prophets and apostles. While on the other end of the spectrum, it is 61 revival, where you have the earthbound spirits, for example, what he referred to as fallen angels, and the ground spirits, which are all human dead, except those mentioned in the Bible. Now, as a practitioner of revivalism, I find the bracketing of revival in 60 and 61 a bit challenging. Because of those of us who practice spirituality, we know that spirituality cannot be bracketed. Spirituality does not exist in a structure. And in fact, the very nature of spirit is anti-structural, right? And so there's a bit of challenge with that. And in my own work, I talk about revival spirituality existing on a continuum. Because if you look at this, immediately you get a sense that revival is a mix of Christianity and African spirituality, right? But if you go deeper in revivalism, you'll find out, or you realize that there are elements of Hindu spirituality. There are elements of Chinese spirituality, and so on, which I will show you later on in the presentation. Next slide. Pocomania. One of the words that I've spent a lot of time challenging. Edward Seaga has done some work on that in terms of defining what pocomania means. Poco, a little. Can you hear me now? Good. So, poco being a little, and mania akin to or aligning with madness. Now, later on, Nathaniel Murrell did some digging on this word as well, and he says that poco is a corruption of the Hindi word puka, which means reality or real, or its Twi origin po, which means shaking or trembling, and come, dancing wildly. Now, as a cultural studies thinker, in my writing, I try to use the terms and the language of the people that I'm writing about. And within the revival community, you will not find revivalists referring to themselves as Poco or Pocomania. It's either Zion or 61 revival. Next slide. Now, the term Pocomania is one of those colonial propaganda that is still used by many Jamaicans today. And what you're looking at is a table that was taken from the work of Sonia Stanley, which is sitting in the audience, from her article titled Of Water and the Healing of the Spirit to Fly Away Home, Alexander Bedward, Religion and Contemporary Jamaica. And these are a list of laws that were passed by the colonizers to suppress African spirituality and African expressions in Jamaica. Of importance here is not only the Obia Law of 1898, which is still on the books today, but also the Lunatic Law, which would have implicated the practice of revivalism in Jamaica in that time, in 1861. And of course, from the late 1890s from the late 1880s to the early 1890s, what you had happening was a national debate happening where Jamaicans were debating whether or not revivalism contributed to lunacy in Jamaica. So if you go through the Gleaner archives, there are a lot of articles with parochial boards, community associations writing about the nuances of revivalism, and so on. Next slide. So I spent a lot of time talking about the 1931 bill that was proposed in Parliament by the governor of Westmoreland at that time to prohibit the practice of revivalism in Jamaica on the grounds that it contributed to madness. Next slide. This is an article that I found in the Jamaica Gleaner archives. It's titled Revivalism and Lunacy. Is Lunacy Increasing? And of course, by this time, you would have, there was an increase in the amount of cases, that were brought before the courts, and the amount of, there was a rise in the number of persons that were admitted to the lunatic asylum in Jamaica. Next slide. So there was a 90% increase in the lunatic asylum, and of course, this number was reflective of African Jamaicans who were at the time practicing revivalism and other forms of African spirituality. So a man called Dr. Plaxton, he was called in as an expert to answer the question of whether or not revivalism contributes to lunacy. And he says that, and I quote, "That was a mistaken view. However, the masses of Jamaica have nothing to do to occupy their leisure except religious exercises. They do not, for the most part, read seriously, nor have they, as a rule, any of those intellectual hobbies and recreations which the masses of England and continental countries enjoy. Religion is their pastime and their only mental pabulum. When, therefore, the minds give way, whether from hereditary or other causes, the readiest form in which their insanity is expressed is in religious exercises. They know nothing else. They are incapable of involving new ideas, and so they indulge to a moderate extent in that with they are familiar, religion. Revivalism is an effect of insanity and not a cause." Next slide. And this is a letter written by the Smith's Village Citizens Association complaining bitterly about the practice of revivalism in that particular area. Next. Now, my argument is all of these laws, legislations, and so on, is towards the prohibition and the erasing of African spirituality within Jamaica. And of course, madness as a term or as a mental illness was never medically defined. Madness instead was legally defined. So once you exhibited certain behavioral characteristics within your spiritual circles and settings, that in and of itself would be regarded as madness. Next. Go ahead. Now, when we talk about magic music, sound, and ritual, within African spirituality, they can't be separated. All of these elements are bounded up into produce what Herbie terms as spirit work or power within these religions. Go ahead, please. Go ahead. Go ahead. And not only music, but sound. There are certain sounds, for example, that are made within ritual spaces, right? So I'll go to the nations in revival. For example, for those revivalists who are associated with the deity River Muma or Mame Water, they make particular sounds and movements with their bodies that align to that particular deity. And all of these elements combine and come together to what is called spirit work or power. And power I'm defining here is not only divine power, but also political power. So there's an element of politics and resistance happening within these spiritual traditions in Jamaica. Next. Power, people, scholars like Victor Turner refer to power as that complex sequence of symbolic acts. But there are others like Costa who talks about ritual in terms of its transformative element and its performative element. And ritual in this mix is important because we can talk about the ways in which the body is adorned, the body is dressed to be presented in ritual spaces. And there are times, for example, during spirit manifestation and so on, which you will see, there are times when emblems are taken from the body or emblems are added to the body in this mix of spirit work. Next slide. Next. Timekeeper, how long do I have? A couple more minutes. Next. Now, this is an excellent photograph captured by Clinton Hutton. And I think that it captures the essence of what we're talking about today. The ritual, the spirit work, the dancing, the movement. You can't hear the sound, but just by looking at the photograph, you can imagine the sounds that are coming from that particular space. Next. Revival nations. Now, similar to Rastafari, where there are mansions of Rastafari, there are nations within revivalism, right? And these nations are what Kenneth Bilby referred to as religious communities, where African Jamaicans recreate themselves within the performative to celebrate and honor ancestral identity. But before I go deeper in this, in the nations, we're talking about music, dance, and sounds, and so on. The basic element of revivalism is what we call drilling, which is the combination of guttural sounds and the stamping of the feet and sometimes the clapping of the hands and so on. This is a point at which the instruments are relaxed and then the body is used to produce sounds. Next, can you go to the next slide? So that's a video clip from What Town. And for those of you who are interested, What Town is held on the first quarter of March. It's the first Thursday in March, and it's the spiritual side for revivalists, where revivalists across the island from the diaspora meet and worship, all right? Now, the first nation that I want to talk about in revival is the Indian nation. And the Indian nation is basically, it's interesting because you find African Jamaicans through their connection with Hindu spirituality, then recreate spaces and performances to represent and celebrate that Indian ancestry in Jamaica. Next. So this image was taken by Clinton Houghton in Kingston, and this is an image of an Indian celebration within Revival. You can see African Jamaican women dressed in sari, for example, and with the Indian, what is called the ritual Indian basket on top of her head, consisting of fruits and vegetables that would have been been taken here by Indians who came here to work as indentured laborers. Next. This is an Indian princess. So within these nations, you have royalties. So you have, for example, the king, the queen, the princess. And these, of course, are persons that have a high ranking within the spirit within these nations. Next. This is a video of an Indian ceremony. Not that one. Not that one.
Oh, Jesus!
This is it. And this gentleman is an Indian prince. And importantly, within these spaces, it is interesting to have a conversation as well about how the dressed body produces sounds. Because some of these ritual Indians wear things such as bells on their bodies and whistles and so on that produce sounds within ritual spaces. Now, then there's the River Nation. Now, the River Nation is a continuation of the deity from West Africa, Mami Wata. We refer to her in Jamaica as River Muma. In other spaces, she is referred to as Oshun, and so on, right? Next. And of course, within these performative rituals, you have spaces that are dedicated to these deities. Here you have a ritual pool of River Muma, and if you look closely, an image of River Muma is painted. An image of River Muma is painted at the bottom or the base of the pool. Next. This is a video showing a performance of the River Muma.
Oh, Jesus! 90 rivers of God. Tell them rejoice! For the Lord is
So this is a River Nation ceremony that I would have captured in Montego Bay. And these religious groups are based right across the island of Jamaica. The final nation I want to talk about is the African nation. And of course, as people of African descent, we continue to honor our ancestors in particular ways. And one of those ways is through ritual. Next. And in ritualizing the body, there are certain things that are added to the body in spaces. This gentleman was wearing herbs along with a clay pot on his head in symbolizing that ritual or that image of an African. And of course, within the African nation, I was told that there are two types of Africans. There are the Africans that live in the forest, which is a representation here, and herbs, bush used on the body to represent that. And then there are the Africans that live in the palace, so those Africans with the elaborate jewelry and wearing of the sophisticated textiles and so on. Next. All right, so Kumina. Kumina is an element of revival. So there are those revivalists who would, for example, keep a Kumina ceremony before their revival table. So there's that constant relationship with ancestral grounding within spaces and so on. This is a Kumina ceremony that I attended simply in Montego Bay, and through ritual manifestation, things such as talcum powder is used on the face as a way of mirroring the deity and so on. Next slide. In this particular image, after a goat was sacrificed, the interesting thing that happened here was that women from the community came and they danced in the blood. And I was informed that that was one of the ways that healing was done through the life-giving force of the blood and so on. And of course, in this particular context, this gentleman is representing or mirroring Shango, right? Which Shango's color is red and white. So the talcum powder plus the blood on the face, the mixture of the blood on the face, and so on. Next, and I think I will end here. I mentioned earlier about the royalty, the use of kings and queens and nations in revival and so on. This is a representation of that. So I will stop there, I will rest here, and of course, if you have any questions later on.
Yes.
Okay. Hello. It's not on. It's on now. I am Lantmanette Oshuni De Oshun Awa Dewe Mosteins. That is my full name. I am sitting here not as a dancer, but as both a dancer, a researcher of Kumina, and a practitioner in the Yoruba religion. Now, I am so happy that Mr. Doctor spoke before me because I might have repeated some of the things he said. So thank him very much and clap him for me, please. I find it very nerve-wracking to present in some spaces. And the reason is because I find that colonial rule is steeped into our veins, passed down from generation to generation. We can't seem to vomit the poisoning aspects out of our system. I have always been interested in methods of worship. I hear many say, I believe in God. Yet I notice people go to church to be convinced to become born again. And I wonder why. Because God has been ever present in our lives from birth. We were born again with his energy, her energy. So I didn't need to be convinced. As a young woman, I moved through many denominations, Catholic, then others, seeking to know if my ancestors had a method of praying specific to their culture. The impression given is that we never start to pray until a certain time in history. You never get that impression? Me get that impression. But when me little bit, I say, no, sir. Time longer than rope. Time so long, so how come we just start to pray? And so I took a little peep into a presence called Rastafari. How wonderful. For a presence that opened the eyes of the colonized mind. It gave us knowledge of His Imperial Majesty, Haile Selassie I, and Mortimer Planner wrote, this movement was never just about a man. It was about a revolutionary consciousness. Rastafari taught me the importance of language, the consciousness of God's herbs, the spiritual tool of the drum, and it goes on and on and on. But stop. That was always going on in Revival and Kumina. It was going on from long time. And this is why me say, a long time them a pray. It troubles me that anyone of African heritage could bomb the presence of Kumina, Revival, Etu, Yoruba, Santeria. It bothers me. I went to somewhere and black people were saying bonnet. But it is that consciousness that resulted in the abolition of slavery. The misunderstanding of the word obia. Or I like to say misunderstanding, because understanding me, you never really, a Rasta man teach, we say, yeah, for overs. Knowledge is power. And beyond knowledge, there is source knowledge residing in our blood. We forget, because we think we did start to know the knowledge when we come out. But if we did start it, then there would not be the abolition of slavery. The word obia is spelled O-B-I-A. It means knowledge or science. The British knew this. They didn't ban obia because it was superstition. They banned it because it worked. It was a spiritual intelligence that organized the Kurumanti fight for their freedom. If we cannot appreciate the methods of our ancestors, we are ungrateful to our ancestors who prayed us into this very room today. We were not allowed to spell C-A-T, cat, if it were not for our ancestors. Ritual, Obia, ancestors. In our society, it's worse than some of the bad words. Those are bad words. We have been taught that them is bad. But when our family transitions, they are our ancestors. So Marcus Maxiah Garvey is our ancestor. Bob Marley is our ancestor. Harriet Tubman is our ancestor. You have a great-grandmother, if you bawl out the name right now, is your ancestor. Your grandfather is your ancestor. But what do? We bury them, and a lot of people then forget them. Because guess what? Ancestor is a bad word. A ritual is simply a solemn ceremony performed in a prescribed order. If you go to church every Sunday morning, you are involved, sorry to say, in ritual. Because it's ritual, it's done consistently. It's done consistently in a prescribed order. When you go to church, this begin it, this go so, then you give the money, then the this, then the that. It's a ritual. Cleaning your teeth every morning is a ritual because you do it consistently. So, the Kumina duty is a space of respect and reverence. Now, before I go any further, it has already explained that Kumina and Revival are cousins. Bongo Nation, Congo Nation. They are cousins. They have a relationship. Researcher Edward Siaga suggested Kumina borrowed spectacular elements from Revival. Kumina never have no table. And then it was called Kumina Play, Kumina Dance. It never named Kumina Duty. It was the beauty of the Revival table that was borrowed. What Kumina have is what you already see right there, and it's called the ground table. The ground table, it's not ground, you know, the ground table. I can't pronounce it, ground. The ground table is when you put down sugar and water, plain water, and you have your drummers, and a Kumina can start just with that. It's on the ground. Table don't mean a nice table either. It is also called board. Board, that's when you get a door, piece of plywood. Am I right, sir? And you put it down. Them don't say table. Them say board. I love that. Today, the Kumina duty reflects a communion with the ancestors and with the name King Nzambi Mpunga. Now, if you read the Bible, it tells you that the divine would present himself in many names. And the names has to do with language, culture, and location. So for the Kumina people, and for many parts of Africa, the name is King Nzambi Mpunga. No, I used to say King Nzambi Mpunga until a Congolese girl at Edna Manley College informed me, no, it's Nzambi Mpunga. I remember my first visit to Miss Queenie many years ago. I have the date, I don't want to tell you, it aged me. It was a sundial Kumina. That means you have to start at 6 and you end at dawn. The yard was alive. The rapid rubbing made my heart beat faster. And the playing cast insisted, and this is what them say, it say, Tutu make me call you, Tutu make me call you. The rhythm plays that. I felt my head rise. At the gateway, lit candles symbolized power and cleansing. A beautiful table was dressed because Queenie practiced both Revival and Kumina. It had bread and fruit and wine, and I remember going to St. Thomas and seeing a table, and they told me that the table was valued $500,000, the amount of things that went on the table. Why was it on the table? To give respect and reverence to all the ancestors who fought for the abolition of slavery. So after going to Kumina and seen the candle. What is it for? It's light. It's cleansing. What is fresh water for? Fresh water, the gift from God. Again, cleansing. And then there's a word we use in Yoruba that is called omira. And it means holy water. And that is when you put the herbs that God give you. You hear, I keep going to what God give you. Because God has given us every single thing to heal ourselves. And that I found also in Rastafari. Because all the herbs that they use, all the healthy way of eating. When Rastaman said them go and eat vegetables, everybody think they're mad and said them going to get mad and dead. When I was a little girl, they said, them eat a vegetable, you know. Them are go dead. And now everybody is trying to all eat vegetable. When they were making juices and going from door to door, people laughed at that as well. And what happened? The big firm, them Grace Kennedy, go to them and say, nobody make no juice. We give them money and we make the juice them and sell them. And then chemicals in them and people buy them because guess what? It said Grace Kennedy. I'm sorry. Maybe I shouldn't. I'm sorry. But that's what happens. So I am here to give an offering today. I think you heard a lot about revival. And at the end, we are going to dance Kumina for you. So you will see it. But I have created a title. Because inside revival, inside Kumina, inside Rastafari, we have what I call the organic scholars, which you know that word. But if you have to go to them to write your paper for your PhD, if you couldn't write your paper for your PhD if you never go to a Rastafari to ask them, an elder wisdom, ask them about it. If you never had to go to Queenie, then you wouldn't have a paper. So what is their title? So you go and you get bachelors and masters and PhD, but you didn't get it alone. You had to go to these organic scholars for their knowledge and their wisdom. And so today I offer spiritual source masters. I believe that it should be bachelors, masters, PhD, spiritual source masters. What happened to Queenie? There is a book down at the library written by, and I'm not going to call any names because I don't want nobody to get in trouble. The man said to Queenie, Queenie who live in a tattoo, Queenie who sometimes do have no dinner, who is now teaching him about the Kumina drums. She's getting up and dancing for him. She's sharing what is Mayal. She's sharing how she found out this song. One kwali one den de belly kulun mama kisadeya bam lekele Louisa kunda kusumbelam pele bam bele pilanse bam bele kusumbelam pele bam bele pilanse bam bele. I must tell you, I get plenty beaten for that song. Queenie beat me. You get it wrong. And then they said, you know, they were from an institution of some sort in America. They would send Queenie some money. That they come on and not reach yet. People asked her to come and give a presentation on Kumina. I knew her well. I spent 18 years with Queenie. And then when they ask her, they don't say to her, I'm going to give you a bus fare. She must reach. And share all the information. And then you go and you get a PhD and you become the authority of what you wrote that Queenie teach you. So what is her title? This is my question. It has been my question for years. And this year I decided I created the word Carimod. Modern technique dominated by Caribbean information. My dancers don't dance modern dance. We don't dance contemporary dance. We proudly Jamaican dance Carimod dance. Trinidadians in contemporary dance, Carimod dance. Eduardo Rivera technique, Cuba, Carimod dance. So I decided it is man who created words. So I am creating spiritual source masters. And I have also done a full document that I'm presenting, and I'm going to present. And let me tell you, when you look at people who wrote because of Mortimer Planner, look at that. Look at Kappa's work. Look at all these people who, what we do, we go to them and we say we're going to make documentaries. And we tell them documentaries, people don't get paid. Well, guess what? The last man that come to me with that, me tell him go home. Me said to him, you pay for the camera? You pay for the food that you're feeding all the people that come in here? Okay. You pay for the cheer them? And it's me sitting behind the camera, and it's me you're interviewing, and you don't pay me. So guess what now? I realize that you can't do the documentary without me. So pay me. I want to share with you a very important word that's called Kalunga. Because of the title. You know, I must tell you, I love this gentleman, Herbie, very much. But he really have faith in me, you know. Because when him asks me, you know, means me have a few days to get ready. And him have faith in me, and I honor him for that. Him have more faith than I have in me. The title, Working the Spirit. Religions, rituals, music, dance, magic. And my humble colleague did it perfectly. There is a ritual called La Kalunga. And what amazes me is I think everybody in here might know everything I'm saying already. And if I fix it a little better, yeah. If we are black, it have nothing to do with Kumina, revival, Rastafari. It have to do to knowing your ancestors and what they did. That is what it is. You can't be saying, I respect my ancestors from Africa, and you don't know nothing about it. You can't do that. But I also think, and it is my little stupid thing, you respect your ancestors from Africa, you have plenty African clothes, you know how to cook African food, but your worship is definitely cannot be African, because guess what? It's Obia. Wow, amazing. It can't be. We cannot respect the African space. Guess what? That's bad. So Kalunga. We are going to perform an excerpt from Kalumba. And Kalunga is a word, the watery boundary between the world of the living and the world of the ancestors. In Central African thought, the word is often envisioned as two mountains that divided by a body of water. We talk about 9 nights. We talk about when our ancestor dead, and let me tell you, all the people who don't believe in nothing African and it bad have a 9 night, you know. You better know 9 night, have to keep. And that time, nothing wrong. You understand me? Nothing wrong that time. But if 9 night, no keep them afraid. Because, so it's funny, you know, you are practicing African, you're in a revival now, you're in a Kumina now, but that time, it's okay. So, this Congo cosmogram, Kalunga, is a horizontal line that bisects the circle of life. Dancing Kumina is the African body language that is a direct decolonization act. Kumina is dancing the Kalunga line. Now, the other part of Kumina that is important is that it is not just, and you know something, it also relates to revival. It relates to Yoruba. It relates to everything. And all the chanting and drumming that is done by Rastafari is also in there because it is communicating with the heavens. It is not a philosophical concept. It is a physically manifested through the body of the dancer. So when we speak of the step called the inching step, that you have to know, I'm almost finished. Don't rush me. Nobody do that to me. See, I am at the end. Don't rush me. It's something I'm going to do every time and I don't like it. I talk the truth. When you see the inching step, and you know, so the Kumina people don't know that word, right? Them don't know nothing named inching step. So what the anthropologist says, that they have to go into our spaces because we don't have no sense and name the things for we. Nobody said to the people them white name. Them just give it a name. So we take it. That inching step is used to connect what they call the two mountains that you're going from. And the water is in between the two mountains. And you're dancing. If you look at the Kumina Veve, and there is a Kumina Veve. A Veve is a potometon, and I can't go into that because I'll be here too long. You will see that line. And that Kumina inching step that everybody in this room know, don't it? Everybody. I love this room. I love you. When the drum call and the Kumina queen begin the African step, she's not just inching across the floor. She's treading the Kalunga line. Her feet stay glued to the memories of the earth, while her spirit travels across the great water to bring the source knowledge back to the living. I stand here and I honor the spiritual source masters. If you look at the floor, you're going to see we have Omira. We have holy water. We have something that people love in Jamaica named white rum. We have, because you cannot dance Kumina and not have it. You have to give great respect. So I would like you, we believe, you know, that when we speak perfect English, we are now British. Maureen Warner Lewis, it was amazing to read when she said, you see, when we say dance, and when people say, may I go down the road, and them say, I want dance session, may I go? It's a long vowels that come from Africa. It is how we, it is not slang. It is how we, our Africans speak. And so, when you're looking down on, try to look equal to. Don't stop looking down on. And before you negate things, we have a thing pan line now name, what name, chat something? And Gemini something? Put it in and you're shocked what you see. I put in carry more than shocked to say, created by Lantoinette. I almost vomit. I was like, them I pray long time. Using the ocean, everything God give us. Everything is a healer. You go to the river, River Muma heal you. You who can't have children all of a sudden get pregnant. You go to the ocean, your mom will cleanse you. The ocean healing. You pick a piece of mint and guess what? Healing. You get a ginger, healing. Those are all the things used in Kumina and revival. Obia is not a bad word. Ritual is not a bad word. Research everything. I'm honored to be able to present spiritual source masters.
Yes, Dr. Henry's, okay. Dr. Henry is going to join us. Thank you for setting. You still like how Lantoinette put the table there already? Make us just have a table talk. Right, and I will sit here. How that look? Thank you. Miss Lantonette, you know, say Dr. Henry did the same piece of paper mark 2 minutes. 2 minutes more you did have. He saw the same piece of paper that this nice gentleman did hold up there so for you.
Good friend, you know. My good friend because he is a stage manager. But I was too passionate. It's a warrior spirit.
Ladies and gentlemen, a warm round of thanks. So let me declare from now that we have 20 minutes for discussions, comments, feedback, which will include you. So I'm going to time myself. Do you hear?
Nobody have any questions for me, so I just keep quiet.
So let me see the hands of those persons who will want to make an intervention. One moment, please. So we're going to take the interventions in blocks of 3. The reason we're doing that is so we know how much we have to answer, so we don't privilege any one person over the others. So the first hand is in the back here. Forgive me for saying that. The second hand is over here, and the third hand is over there for now. I recognize the glasses to be Professor Stanley Nayer's glasses. But still, I'm going to request of you that just before you ask your question or make your intervention, if you could identify yourself, certainly by name. And if you're attached to an institution, could you please do that as well? I'm going to be timing you so that we have as many persons being able to participate as we can fit into 20 minutes. So please, if you have a comment, tell us it's a comment. If you have a question, say it's a question, but please keep it within 1 minute. Can you do that? That's a lot of time. Thank you. 1, 2, 3. Where is the roving microphone?
Sanbanani, greetings to everyone. And I am Dr. Ya Santiwa Archangidi, the founder and visionary of the Institute of Africology based in KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. We give thanks. So last year in South Africa, both to you, Kurt, and my dear sister, Lantonette, is me. It's been a while. So last year, the South African government made my center the Indigenous Knowledge Center because I've been advocating for institutions to be taken away from universities. And that is after 14 years of sitting in University of Johannesburg, UNISA, and now UKZN. And the reason why I was doing it, Lantonette, was there are so many walking institutions that have not been accredited. And I've been searching for the course, which I know you're going to be in South Africa to do in September, Spirit Masters, because we need to give them names. And so I have the first Pan-African institution for accrediting individuals who are institutions.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and I said to my sister Sonia that one of the things we need to do is the naming, and the fact that I was listening for the Maroons because I am from Moortown. So I wanted to just thank you for the work and giving us names. I thank you, Kurt, for now making us realize as much as we want to pretend in Jamaica, because I love Kumina and I love Obia, and I practice my Obia every morning by putting my water and my candles according to what.
Of course.
That's what has made me survive South Africa in 27 years. But what I loved, and maybe the people didn't see it, is that you made mention of it being all over the island. And the idea that people want to pretend that Kumina not happening tonight, you know, because it's this hush-hush across the island. So I think your work is important, and it's important that children know they can have options in spirituality. Siyabonga.
Thank you.
Sabona.
I just want to say
Thank
one
you.
thing, please. Oh, you want to repeat?
Yes, please. Can we pass the microphone to this end of the room? When it's your turn to speak, I'm going to invite you please to come forward so that you can be duly recorded as part of the proceedings. Thank you. Good afternoon.
The mic is not on.
I'm from the revival community, but I'm one of them revivalists who just don't believe in just the doctrine of Christ. I believe strongly more in the African side because I am trying to practice African spiritualism. I would offer my libation like I would come outside sometime and stand on the ground 3 o'clock in the night and offer my libation, or I would stay inside sometime and do it according to the instruction of the late, what's the name of the lady that died recently in Charlestown? Marcia. Yeah, she says, she told me that I can do it in my calabash. So sometime, Colonel Douglas. Yes, so I do it like that sometime. I just like to highlight you when Dr. Henry says that some people are Indians, some people are Africans. It's not what you choose, you know. It is the prophet that come to you. If an Indian prophet come to you, then you have to practice that way. If an African comes to you, that's how you have to practice. And it's a pity you never have a video of the late Queen Mother Nora Dance and her chant. Because when that woman chants, you know, whether you have spirit or not, you have to stamp your right foot. She's very good at that. Now, one of the things that I noticed that is not being practiced in revivalism today is the singing of sacred hymns. The first time I felt the Spirit, it was a hymn that was being sung. I followed a lady by the name of Mother Powell, go to Watown, and I had an intention, right? Somebody stole $215 from me, and I went to a lady for her to tell me. I never tell her anything, you know, but she picked it. She said, "But you lose some money, man." And I said, yes, and when I told her the amount, she said, that's a lot of money because them days it was a lot of money. So I say, you know, since she don't want to tell me to do it, I'm going to pinch somebody spiritually with it. Well, I don't know if I work about, but I decide someone like to be somebody. But when I went to Watown now, and this thing was being sung, I feel like my chest was open. And I wanted to run outside and somebody come and greet somebody and block me. And the next person come and greet another person. So I start to bawl now because I couldn't do any better. And I had to run outside. And as a result of that, I like hymns that this song sacred. Nowadays, they are modernizing hymns in revivalism, the bangarang drum, the drum set, and you don't get that essence. And, you know, people don't know what is real revivalism, you know. Revivalism is dying out now as much as the city is only for revival church.
I'm sorry, Mr. Reed. Can you wrap up for me, please?
Okay. Like I say, revivalism is, you have a lot of churches, but it is dying. Because the leaders, they're not getting a calling, and they wasn't groomed by somebody who get calling, so they're not lucky. All right?
Thank you so much, Professor Stanley Naya.
Yes, thank you. Greetings and salutations, my people. I want to thank you all for the presentations. My question is not necessarily for you, but I have to ask it here because my ancestors have asked me to ask it. Former prime ministers, ministers of government, major personalities, institutions, particularly cultural institutions, such as those culture agencies within the Ministry of Culture. We're talking about entities like the African Caribbean Institute of Jamaica. And today, as we are here in 2026, there's quite a bit of research. We heard some totally being presented here today. Obia, we know, is African spirituality, which was demonized by the colonial powers. So my question is, what will it take to end the hypocrisy and demonizing of African spirituality, especially where entities such as the Ministry of Culture are concerned? What is the current process to repeal the Obia law?
Thank you very much.
Look
All right,
here,
so there were
Sonia.
three questions, Lanto. There are three questions. I don't know who will take which one. The first question has to do with accrediting individuals. The second question has to do with the place of the sacred hymns in revivalism. It was a two-part question, and how you know which prophet has come to you. And this one, the role of the ministry in ending the hypocrisy of the treatment of these practices.
Well, I'm going to answer the first thing. And what I want to tell you, which should be interesting, is that Lakadko has been invited to South Africa. We will be there. We are going to represent for the independence as well as to the Zumba Festival. Well, we will be at the Zumba Festival. And we will get to talk further, because I really would love to talk to you about what you say you have already achieved, and my little humble wanting to these people, we need to talk. Relative to Sonia's question, we both sat here, and we don't know which one must answer it. But I'm going to make him answer the second question, and then we'll come back to your question.
The second question. All right. It was about Kumino being present across the island, and then the second part, sacred hymns, or Kumino. Yes, Kumino is alive and well across the island. For instance, there are revivalists who do practice Kumino, as I mentioned in my presentation. For example, if you have a revival table or a ceremony in the night, you do a Kumino ceremony in the morning to ground yourself in that kind of ancestral memory and realm and so on. It's unfortunate that I didn't meet Queenie, Imogene Queenie Kennedy, the Kumino Queen. I recently learned that she is the godmother from my godfather, who is an Obia man. So I'm spending a little time trying to navigate that sort of ancestry where I am concerned. In terms of revival, hymns, and so on, yes, revivalism is evolving. But I was having a conversation this morning, and the conversation was about ancestral memory. There are ways in which the Spirit brings back things to your remembrance. So where African spirituality is concerned, I'm not so much concerned about changes and evolution, because when the Spirit comes, it brings back things to your remembrance. You understand? So that is my comment where that is concerned.
And in the hypocrisy of the treatment of these practices, that was Sonia's.
Sonia, Dr. Nair, Professor Nair, I believe, I thought about it, I had a little moment. I think we have to start with the fact that almost all the institutions in Jamaica have decided the only valid way of practice is Christianity. If you go into the space, that's the only approved method of worship. So even Rastafari is not an approved method of worship. So I think we have to, is where we begin. I think we have to begin with, and unfortunately, the people who are now in the places have to be convinced that, have to be educated. There has to be a lot of education as to why Obia was presented the way it was by the colonizers, and what is the truth about Obia. The fact that when my mother passed away, for example, I can't just go to the funeral and go home, go sit down. I have to put a candle, a glass of water, my mother's picture, and for 9 days I have to kneel down and pray. And I have to raise that glass every day for 9 days. I have to raise it for 9 days. Now, somebody look at that, and I have to put a Bible there because it's her favorite book. So I put a Bible. I put what she loves. Because for 9 days, the Spirit has not left. And the 9th night is resurrection. It's when they're gone out to talk. So without knowledge, people leave the funeral and it's done. But it can't done. And every year when it's time to remember the person, nothing is done. The woman or the person who fed you, who sent you to school, who took care of you. And so that is how it is practiced, not in the African and not in the other types of methods of worship. You have to give a lot of reverence to that mother, to that father, to that. And it is not, yeah, it's obia because it is positive. And it is very positive. But as I said in the beginning, colonial rule is inside our system, in our blood. We can't vomit it out.
Professor Naya, you were sent. You trouble my spirit. To answer your question around the, and I have to try and to be politically correct now and keep my job. But the problem I find is that where Obia is concerned and other African spiritual practices and the opinion on these expressions is a leadership problem. What do I mean by that? Persons are in places, in powerful places, who are in charge of preserving and documenting these things, but their Christian values don't allow them to interact or to engage with the. So it's a leadership problem that we have in Jamaica. I will leave it there. It is a leadership problem.
But the leaders and the manners too.
I was looking around the room to see whether I could identify any of the adjudicators of the JCDC festival, for example. And when we talk about, or any teachers who prepare students to participate in those festivals. And when we talk about the hypocrisy and the lack of respect, we see Kumina and revivalism being performed on stage by students who have been prepared, by teachers who have never been to our revival space.
Never, ever been.
And then we hear them say, if the children get into the spirit, for example, you're going to hear Akila Maskita. When they're speaking in tongues, you're going to hear every year one child is going to say, Akila Maskita. And so, no, it happens every year. And okay. And so one of the things that I think we need to do, Herbie, you know I love to have my call to action, is how do we get to JCDC to say who instructs these teachers? That if I go on stage, sorry Peter, and I say, me a cowboy, me a Mexican cowboy, somebody will say that I've been very disrespectful to mea culpa from the Catholics. But nobody will say you have been very disrespectful to the revival people when you say Akila Mosquito. So part of it, I think, is that we need to get to JCDC leadership. We need to get to the teachers and dance instructors who prepare these young children for participating in the continuation of the disrespecting of themselves and the self-hatred which these expressions of hypocrisy, I think, represent.
But there was someone who was doing a PhD thesis on revival, and the person said, I'm researching it, and I went to Watttown, and I'm writing a thesis on revival, but I'm not going in the church.
Or there was a time when Lantonette was the ultimate diplomat, as she reported to me, she had been to a dance convention in Atlanta, I think it was. And there was a non-Jamaican who had spent 3 weeks in Jamaica researching Kumina. She didn't know that at the time. So she go to hear this lady make her presentation, and the woman began by saying, you know, I studied Kumina, and you know in Jamaica they speak this language. And so Kumina really is a dance that anyone is invited to, and Kumina really means coming here. And
Let me tell you.
Somebody, yeah, it's your story, tell it.
Let me tell you, quite a few scholars were there, and Mrs. Rekro was sitting beside me, bless her soul. And Mrs. Rekro is a comedian. Most people didn't know that Barbara Rekro was a comedian. But she give you the joke, and then she go like this. So nobody knows, she's not laughing, and you're dying. But when this woman said cumina, first it was cumina, because it sounded like a spice. And then she said it means come in here. Everybody had to find a scarf or something to bite on because we were in such stitches. And then she continued to present by video some Kumina people who she said was speaking in Kikongo, but what they were doing is cussing plenty bad word because they were tired of her. And it was no Kikongo language. And we were so embarrassed. And Mrs. Rekord said, I told her. She came to me and I told her that is wrong. And she presented, but you see people get PhDs if they can write, put the commas in the right place, put the semicolon in the right place, do a literature review that sound like, and what the woman said, I went to Watttown and I'm not going in the church.
And so the whole business of authenticity, because this incorrect information appears in the printed word, yes, where not just our children, big Jamaicans to older Jamaicans have access to. Let us give another group of persons an opportunity to share their views. I see you in the back, one. I see you in the front, two. Which young man? Put your hand up, right. So 1, 2, 3. Remember, please identify yourself and try to contain what you have to say within 60 seconds. Can you come down to the front, please, so that you can be recorded? Greetings.
My real name is Kofi. Kofi, African male child.
I think it's born on a certain day.
A Friday.
Yes.
Ghana, I think. My question is to the panelists. Have you working with the Ministry of Education so that, you know, they could take African culture into the schools? I am chair of a early childhood school, basic school we call it. We have an African Day once a year where the children are allowed to wear African garbs, have African food as much as we can get to that. But I think the Ministry of Education, culture too, can do more to get into the school. You know, one of the problems we have in Jamaica is to raise our children, even teach them to disrespect themselves. You have grown people who you can't tell them that they anything at all about African ancestry. So no, I happened to ask somebody one time, what's your nationality? Jamaican. I said, what's your race? Jamaican. So we need a lot of work on that.
Thank you, Kofi.
Yeah, we need to clap it.
Were you number 2 or number 3, miss? Number 2, please come.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Trisha Stevens. I'm an associate professor at Hunter College at the Silverman School of Social Work. I've been very blessed to do some work on conceptualizing healing for people of the Black diaspora with sister docs who are incredible. So I just want to say, as I introduce myself, I am the great-granddaughter of Arthur Taylor, who decided that all of his girls would be educated past grade 3. So I call on my ancestors and say, pay my respects for what they have done, for my grandmother Daphne, who fed Lucky Valley and fed them with dignity. I am pleased to see such a full room. I want to make an offering. Our ancestors are dancing and singing at this conversation. We are in our line of work. We were not permitted to read. It was the one crime that someone who was European could actually be punished for, is to educate us. So look at us now. As we continue our work, I say we do it heart forward, shoulders down, and head strong and straightforward. Harriet Tubman always carried a shotgun. We carry it up here, so make we use it. Last offering to the gentleman.
Dr. Henry.
Dr. Henry, I think of a parallel when I saw the slide on policies about the increase in asylum admissions. There was a similar increase in the United States post-emancipation. No mention of poverty, right? And the stress that poverty puts on you, right? But the people who had the power of education, who we now have to, I think, distinguish that they came up with diagnoses for Black people who wanted to be free. So our suffering was not seen as significant, right? So this interrogates all of it, and I am so blessed to be in a place where we are interrogating and not swallowing what other people have to say about us. We get to say it now, and I am done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 3.
That's Kofi is also Archie Lloyd. Okay, thank you.
Number 3.
Yes, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ardit Miller. I am from Maroonton County. The question that I want to ask to Doctor, when you said about the mad spirit, can you explain to me more and more how I can understand about it? And I just want to say thank you so much for coming and share your presentation with us. I can sense our ancestors around us, and I can feel the presence of the ancestors dancing with us.
Thank you very much. Una have it. The Value of Africa Day as representing one example of how we can approach African identity issues in schools. I
must answer.
I don't know. You might want to comment on it.
I think I like the idea of Africa Day, but I would hope if Africa could be taught every day. You know, you have one day to teach Africa. How you teach Africa in one day? I don't know. So you get something to eat, you put on some African clothes. Nothing happen. There needs to be something that makes Africa a little more prominent in the school system. And then now, you celebrate all you learn all year on Africa Day. That's what I think.
Can I just add to that? I think another challenge I have is treating Africa as a country and not a continent.
Right. So, right.
when we celebrate Africa Day, we wear our garbs and so on. But in treating Africa as a country, not a continent, we lose particular meanings that are important to us as a people.
Everybody know by now that I like to acknowledge and celebrate what is. And Africa Day in schools is barely 4 years old. So it's a step forward. It's like many years ago, culture was not a part of the National Development Plan. And then it became one sentence. Then it became a page, I remember. Now it is an entire pillar in Vision 2030. And it didn't happen because somebody did love we. It happened because the culture sector made a lot of noise about where are we. So on the last Friday in May, since 4 years ago, schools are encouraged to celebrate Africa Day. I know that at one time, Mona Primary School was the focus school because they move around the country. And there were about 4 different African ambassadors who were present. So I think over time, the children understand that Africa is a whole heap of countries and is a continent. The point I'm making is, it's a step. And we should honor this step.
Good step.
And lobby to build on that step.
Ashe.
Did you want to comment on the brother from Maroon Town?
The comment made by the doctor.
Yes, you want to take hers? Okay.
Madness.
Yeah.
On the point of madness, I visited North Wales last year, and I had the opportunity of going through their archives, and I found a book that was published in 1807 with testimonies given by slave traders and captains of the ships and so on. And they recall some of the brutalities that African men and women went through. And one of them actually aligned that to the cause of insanity among African men and women on board the ships. And of course, the other things that we went through, the abuse, the mutilation, the torture, and so on, those things would have contributed significantly to insanity within our population. And then Professor Clinton Hutton last week asked the question, we've been through so much as a people, how did we survive? And it is through the spirit, that spirit that Bakra Masa could not tamper with, nor could they touch.
I think it is also important to note, because we've given examples from North America, from Sweden, you just said? Did I miss that?
North Wales.
North Wales, and from Jamaica, is that these attacks on black people are not accidental. They are systemic. They are part of the project of Columbus. And therefore, our response also has to be sustained and systemic.
We have to know also that the Africans kept their memory of their religions alive. And if they didn't have a drum, and you see it in revival, they made the body the drum, and the sounds the drum. So what they were doing vocally and what they were doing with their hands, them are pray long time. They were praying a lot and practicing their religions, and found a way to syncretize it like Santeria in Cuba. They syncretized it. It ended up in Trinidad strong.
I'm sorry, Lantonette. Can we have a final bank of questions? And then I will give each of... And then 20 minutes gone. So I see you, Michael. Can we take a final bank? Can we take a final bank of questions, please? And then we will, one moment, please. One moment. And then we will give each of the presenters a chance to leave a parting sentence with us. You agree to that? All right, thank you. So I saw Michael. I saw this lady that make 2. I saw our guest that make 3. And I saw over there that make 4 and I saw Elaine. All right, so I've gone from 60 seconds to 45 seconds each. Please and thanks, because the dancers are waiting. Thank you. So Michael, I'm sorry to call you, our guest, over there, and then Elaine. Please help us by being tight.
Good evening. My question is, and perhaps
your name, please.
My name is Michael Burke. My question is, how do we rope in all of the native Africans who are in Jamaica to help in this process when, unfortunately, many of our native Africans have also been brainwashed? Now, 51 years ago, we had a Commonwealth Prime Minister's Conference here. And one of our Prime Ministers came barefooted. And I have mentioned on Facebook that we should be proud of our culture. And at the time, it was something, and Commonwealth Prime Minister's Conferences, Africans and so on, used to come in their native dress. And I'm afraid that today, when there are these conferences, they come in suits because of the brainwash. Now, how do we rope them in and say, look here, please wipe off that shame? I'm suggesting that you have a conference and invite all of the native Africans to that conference and tell them, look here, wipe off this shame. Please help us in the process of Africanizing our people and bringing a sense of pride to ourselves as Africans. But you can help us if you wipe off that shame and be proud. Thank you very much.
Got it, Michael. Thank you. This lady in the white shirt here.
Yes, good evening. My name is Hyacinth Robinson. It's not a question, it's just to add to what has been discussed here this afternoon. I lived in Africa for 9 years. And I lived in Congo, Zambia. I visited South Africa and Zimbabwe, but I spent most time in Democratic Republic of Congo. And I will be going back to Cameroon shortly. What I would like to say this afternoon, because we are descendants of slaves, as we are our ancestors, we lost so much because we have some Jamaican culture, but in fact, when you compare it to the African culture, we lose a lot. And I would say because of slavery. We have lost so much. The main one for me is the family, the total family history. We have lost the family, we have lost concept of everything, and we think that's the starting point. So I can welcome what the brother said, that we should invite the Africans here, and we can try to learn a little. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. In the corner, coming down. Who was before Elaine? That's 1, 2. That person has changed. No, the dancer's not runway.
We got him home.
Pleasant greetings, everyone. My name is Nathaniel Chan, all the way from Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, thank you. So I just first and foremost want to give honor to this conversation, really and truly, because as someone from Trinidad, where we would have also suffered persecution for Obia, which has now been, whether it's political or not, they still have the right to practice it openly through spiritual, Shouter Baptist, Shango, etc. So it's great to have this conversation, and I also was a bit confused in coming to hear the conversation, because for a country which is Jamaica that is highly spiritual, whether that's through Christianity or other forms of spirituality, to see that Obia is still prosecuted to an extent or demonized is very shocking. However, that's not the question that I have. The question that I have is surrounding our ritual of Carnival, which started Friday through Cambile riots in Port of Spain. And due to contemporary times, we could see that the ritual is changing, where a lot of the African components of Carnival, which it originated from, is being, sorry, Baba,
is being erased. So I want to find out how practices such as this carnival or Junkanoo, etc., how can these practices be protected against contemporary erasure? So that's my question.
Thank you. A round of applause for the baby who brought the daddy out. Who was before Elaine? She left? Okay, I thought I had 5 people. Please go ahead, Elaine, and then we'll figure out who the 5th one is. Please go ahead.
I'm very uncomfortable, and I've had some really hard pushes in my back to come and stand here today. I do not want to leave this body with 2 laws on the law books. The first one is bad word cussing, bad word according to the slave masters. My daughter, when my first grandchild was 2 months, brought home a bumbo chair. The bumbo chair is from Ghana. It's something the women design, so when they have to be out working, a child whose back is not yet strong enough can sit. It is something you buy in a box on Amazon, a bumbo chair. But we can be arrested still for saying a bumbo. Of course, the bumbo cloth is what you use to wipe the bumbo. And the ras cloth is the same thing. Because we could not say your ass in whatever language we were using when the slave master said ass, and we want to tell him back how it came out was ras. Maybe because, I'm making that up, maybe because of the, your language. So I'm asking if this generation of people can stand for the repeal of the bad word law. 2, the Obia law. Thank you for introducing your father as a practitioner of Obia, which is his religion. I do not want to leave this body with persons who cannot practice their religion in Jamaica. So I'm asking if we can find a way to repeal, to have those laws repealed. I know I'm over my 45 seconds.
I need to decide on who will give the final question. Who did you see first? What you mean? I'm not understanding the no. You want to stay till tomorrow morning? If we acknowledge someone, we have to honor that. Please come forward.
Good afternoon. My name is David Allen. I just have a quick question. What is the difference between voodoo and obia?
Wow. Thank you.
I'm going to first go to the young, beautiful lady who spoke about bad words. In Cuba, there is a food that is called bombo. In another part of the world, there is something else that is called bombo. But what has happened also with colonial rule is we get so, when somebody said that, people say, the worst gunman will say, why are you cursing bad words? That is worse than having a gun. Yeah, I know somebody said that to me. So the word bombo has so many meanings in so many different parts of the world for so many different things that maybe that is one of the reasons we can ask them to please. Because there is a food in Cuba that named bombo, and it's done for Orishas. Relative, the other questions about voodoo, me must answer that? Voodoo and obia. The word voodoo means to heal. I don't talk. It's the same word. You are pronouncing it incorrectly. It is pronounced voodoo. It's pronounced voodoo. V-O-D-O-U-N. We just say voodoo, but a voodoo, and it means to heal. That's the answer.
We have to be more patient with one another. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It matters not when you get on the train, just as long as you know that train must not leave you. I just want to say very quickly for those persons who did not know that there is a movement for the repeal of the Obia law. And the first conference was hosted right here in this room in the IOJ 2 years ago, I think, Herbie, and the movement continues, and I'm pretty sure that Professor Clinton Houghton is taking a case to the court. And so we all need to rally behind that movement and give it strength. Dr. Henry, please. Yeah, make him speak.
I just want to comment on the naming of voodoo versus voodoo. I think Hollywood has done a lot of harm where African spiritualities are concerned, you know, and Egypt and everywhere else, right? Even the idea of a zombie, you know, that brain-eating dead person, it's actually a phenomenon in Haiti, zombification, right, which is more complex than that which is shown through the media. So we have to work through those things in terms of how the Western world seek to project these African spiritualities through a particular lens. It is quite unfortunate as well that a lot of the laws that were handed down to us as Jamaicans, we still hold on to them dearly, while England, the mother country, has long passed, right? They have long moved on from them. So it is a sort of epistemic conversation that we must have legally, but also psychologically. How do we continue to see and perceive ourselves? We brand ourselves as this nation as a Christian country. That, for me, is a part of the hypocrisy. Because, quote unquote, we are a Christian country, but then there are other spiritual practices within the island, you see? So we have to work through the very language that we use to describe ourselves as a people. I think that Jamaica is not a Christian country, but a country with a high church-going population, as what Nathaniel Murray says, right? Because it is the same Christians that go to the spiritual healer by night. So we have to look at those nuances as we work towards our full emancipation as a nation.
All right, please allow me to do this. We said that we would give each of you an opportunity to make a closing sentence. I'm going to ask Dr. Henry, please, if he could do that. I'm going to ask you to go second and you introduce the dancers. I'm going to ask the stage management team if while this is going on, you can set up as much as is possible without disturbing what's going on here. And please allow me to say thanks to all the amazing sponsors and supporters who have made Grounation possible. To the one who take the most cussing, the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment, and Sport. A bigger round of applause than that, man. Ciao. To the Institute of Jamaica, Tasty Jamaica, S Hotels, B&D Trolling, Myers, Fletcher and Gordon, Pan Jamaica, V&P Foundation, Freight Handlers, Martel Fennell, Discovery Water, Lasco, CB Facey Foundation, IRI FM, Roots 96.1 FM, Cool 97 FM, and Nationwide News 90 FM. How could we leave here without saying a special thank you to all of you for coming out? Clap yourself. And you would not have known that you should have come out had it not been for the hard-working team of jammers at IOJ, the Grounation Committee, and the jam team led by the indomitable Mr. Herbie Miller, supported by Rosemary Duncan, Isabel MacDonald, and all other amazing members of the team. All right. Okay, please hold no, take all of that, please. Thank you. All right. I am now to put on my teacher hat while you say what you think of what you want to say. And we have some vouchers. Is gas voucher? Yeah. Gas voucher, I may not tell you for how much though. I have 4 of them. And what I must ask them, how long has Grounation been going on? So nobody don't get it. For the whole hour, no call out one time. And as people who went to proper schools, you have to raise your hands and wait to be recognized. And you can't raise your hand and bawl out the question. All right, what was the subject of today's presentation? Yes, Miss who live all over Africa, because if you get it wrong, you get not one voucher. She said, name spirit, you know what I mean? No, this is how Amina lead people astray. May I forgive her for being led astray? Okay, miss, you were led astray. Come. This will not get you to Mozambique, though. I'm so sorry. Gas crisis, oil crisis. All right, who wants to? No, please. Who wants now to tell us the correct name of today's presentation? It's important. You? The full name. You go around with half a name? Full name. Okay, give us one of the important concepts in the name.
Working the spirit.
Working the spirit. Come, spirit in you. You get it. When does Grounation 2026 end? Which day next week? Same time, same place, miss, you get a prize already. Same time, same place. All right, come, sir. You work like a voodoo, forget this one here, sir, now. Thank you so much. And all of us will be here. All of us will be here. The presenters will be...
Professor, I don't know, it's Professor?
Professor Hopeton Dunn, Professor or Doctor? Professor Hopeton Dunn and Dr. Lisa Tomlinson will be presenting. Okay, now a hard one. If anybody can just tell us one thing that they learned today that they never know before, one thing. I'm going to take my seat now and allow the presenters to give us a 1 minute. All right.
Microphone.
While he's getting his microphone,
Yes.
I need to remind us all that these events cost money. And if you're so moved, a donation box will be just outside the door as you are leaving. It'll pass round. And there are books on sale.
I have dancers waiting, and them tired and them hungry. So see with them if them don't have no energy, but they're going to have energy.
I just want to say thank you all for participating in this discussion. We are all a part of a journey of redemption and healing. And it is important that we exercise a kind of patience with each other. We've gone through 300 years of slavery, right? It's not a long time ago that we've gotten emancipation. So it is very much, it's still raw, right? And just work with each other as we move along this journey. I also want to say that the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, through its various arms, such as the African Caribbean Institute of Jamaica and Jamaica Music Museum and others, continue to facilitate platforms to have these sort of discussions. And these are discussions that we need to continue raising our consciousness, raising our awareness at what needs to be done. So thank you all again for being here.
He has said everything for me. So the only thing I have to leave is that it is still in the law books that you can, if a group of drummers meet to drum outside, you can chop off their hands. It is still in the law book. Ladies and gentlemen, my dancers from La Cadco, I love them dearly, will now present a version of Kalunga.
Bambekele, lemlekele, Luisa Kwena, Guzubelampele, Bambele, Opiela se, Bambele, Aguzubelampele, Bambele, Opiela se, Bambele, Aguzubelampele, Bambele, Opiela se, Aguzubelampele, Bambele, Opiela se, Bambele. Come home, weary wanderer. Come home, weary wanderer. Come home, weary wanderer. Come home. Come home. I say come home, weary wanderer. Come home, weary wanderer. Come home, weary wanderer. Come home. I say come home. I say come home, weary wanderer. Oh, you come home, weary wanderer. Won't you come home,
spirit in a way. Keep this spirit glowing and come back next week. Bring your friends and family who were not able to make it today.